Here we are, October 30th, with Gary Malkin as our infinite wisdom guest. And he's going to start us off by playing a very hot off the presses recording.
That is not the final mix, but we couldn't resist sharing it, is the result of one of the 12 or 14 recordings of pure improvisation that Hope and I did in the studio. And this is designed as a short, what we call a transformance, which we've already done in the form of the wave. So for those people that could use a little enhancement and sharing a little bit of this beautiful creation that we have, this is a piece that we call True Togetherness. And just I recommend you just close your eyes. There's no visuals on this.
Mm.
Coming together is a choice, a brave choice, because it means letting all aspects of the firm boundaries of you to soften. To melt. So that true togetherness can occur. It takes courage to allow yourself to be that vulnerable. And yet, vulnerability is the key to connecting honestly. So thank you. Thank you for making this brave choice. To come together.
Wow.
Yeah, Gary and I have known each other for quite a few years now. And we've worked together in a variety of ways. And we dreamed about coming into a studio and just him plunking down at the piano and me plunking down in the with my headphones on, and it finally happened. And it happened right on the well, let's talk about how it happened, Gary. So
Well, in fact, it was the driving force that had me know I had to come to Western Mass to be with you. It was the driving force. We were planning to work on our course that you'll hear about today about resilience and flow all day, Saturday and Sunday. And of course, that was when I was in this adventure called Hurricane Helene.
But
And
let's go back. Let's go back
but
because
I,
not
but no, I
everybody.
just wanted to say that. But it was knowing that we had a recording session on the books in the middle of a huge remodel for Hope, and me in the middle of Hurricane Helene. It was the recording session because that's how badly I wanted to meet her there in that space. And God, did she come off with flying colors. We came off with flying colors. So just wanted to say it was a big motivation for what brought me up here. So,
Okay, so let's go back because not everybody knows you.
okay.
Some people here do and know a lot of your story, but not everybody knows that you lived in Marin for 52 years, et cetera, and then went nomad. So let's start at the beginning because we're looking at it through the lens of resilience, right? And what has been required of you in this rather massive journey. So let's start with the nomad piece.
Well, let's start with the fact that I was a Jewish American prince trying to recover for 52 years by thinking that my whole being was only going to be validated with lots of Emmy Awards and lots of money. And otherwise, I had no sense of wholeness or value without external rewards and signs of being special in some way. And that had to shatter, in which it did royally in 1998, which led me into a career of exploring what happens when we bring music in support of wisdom that would help people awaken a greater acceptance of the reality of death as a part of the cycle of life. And that began my journey as a recognition that I wasn't just a composer seeking material success or compensations for feeling insecure all my life, but also because I realized that I was a healer, that I was a curator of unitive experiences. And it's been 52 years for me to be able to say that with the knowledge that that's who I am, and I never could before. So that's the backstory that led to the moment when I was sitting in the back of a friend's house where I was living and getting guidance through the beings coming through Hope who have blessed my life beyond words and said something very surprising to me. Do you want to say what you said to me?
Well, what Gary was asking where in because he had left his condo that he had rented for many years, and now he was curious about where he should live in Northern California.
After
And
the death of my mother, who died nearly at 100 years old, and I was responsible for her care. So I wasn't free to engage moving at all until I had fulfilled my commitment to my dying sister of brain cancer that I would take care of my mom till she was ready to go.
and so this was about 4 months later, maybe,
3 months. Yeah.
and so the surprising thing was that he was being told not to live in California at all. In fact, not to know where he was going to live and to basically go nomad until the following August. So that was a little over a year. It was late June. So it was 13 months. And he was already, in a way, in a nomadic state because he was in a friend's house temporarily. So that was quite shocking.
And at first I went, wait, what? And in that one moment, I had this excitement, like, could I do that? And on the other hand, I was absolutely terrified. And then I started the meeting asking the questions. Well, could I go to Europe? Nope. Could I go to Africa? Nope. Could I go to all these dramatic, really interesting places? No. It was very specific. It was mostly America, basically. And the purpose was, well, I didn't know what the purpose was. I found out what the purpose was. And that's the subject of this call tonight.
So
Yeah.
fast forward a little bit because so Gary, has many, many friends in the world. And as I guessed that many of them opened their doors to him, and he would have weeks here and weeks there and so on, and pieced it together. And fast forward to last May, early May, and we had a workshop, a live workshop for Graceful Passages in Asheville, North Carolina, where Gary, of course, has friends. I mean, he has friends everywhere. So it wasn't surprising. We were at this, I have interviewed Aditi before, Dr. Aditi Sethi, and if you haven't ever watched that, I highly recommend it. She was my Infinite Wisdom guest, probably in March, maybe in April. Anyway, she is the doctor in charge of CCLD, which is the Center for Conscious Living and Dying, which is in Swannanoa, right outside of Asheville. And that is where we did our Graceful Passages workshop. I mean, what a perfect fit it was. And
May I say one thing about
yeah.
that? So the night we scheduled the early template of the vision that I'm excited about for this next quarter of my life. I'm in the middle of ending the third quarter of my life. That's the way I like to put it. It's much more fun than the last third, right? So we set up this meeting, this opportunity to perform and do the early template of this concept, which is a concert, including a local wisdom keeper and a singer-songwriter and a storyteller and a poetry performance, like the Hope, and then followed by the grief literacy course. And I was using this opportunity not only to find out who was there that was interested in my work and could I use it as a possible place for me to call home, but I was going to use it and stay there for about 3 weeks to find neighborhoods and see if I really wanted to live there. And in the middle of the concert, I mean, almost everyone knew Graceful Passages, which is the work I'm most known for. For those of you who don't know, you can Google it. But in the middle of that concert, as I was about to embark a 3 week period of looking for a place to live and deciding if this was it, in the middle of it, I said, I'm just going to move here. This is too fun, you know? And it was all about this part of me that I felt so welcomed, like so belonging, so, oh my God, so satisfying to have then the responses Hope and I had to the workshop the next day, which had a broad ranged group of people from age 30 to 90. You know, it was such a satisfying experience. And that's why I wanted to, I'll let you pick up, Hope.
No, that's beautiful. It was obvious. It was so evident that this was the fit for Gary, who'd been testing out, looking around as he traveled around the country and even abroad, where do I feel like I could go next? And it was just obvious that was the perfect fit.
And I
So
even did an album called The Music of the Great Smoky Mountains, which is only an hour away. And the album, I had this really trippy concept that hit me when I visited my friends in Asheville 5 years ago, which is meriting saying it because of what happened. It's even more poignant. I asked my friends to take me on a journey to Great Smokies, an hour away, and can we play my album, The Music of the Great Smoky Mountains, which on Spotify it's under the name of Gary Ramal Malkin. But anyway, I can put the link in later. We're playing the music, and as the surging music is coming, all of a sudden we get out on the promontory, and I see my old friends, the Smoky Mountains, which I had camped in with my college buddies when I was 18 years old and hadn't laid my eyes on in 25 years. And I went, what if my future self planted the seed for me at 18 to go camping with my friends in 18 so that I could fall in love with the Smokies, so that 25 years later I could hear the score when I'm looking at the promontory, so that I can feel that I'm supposed to live there with a soundtrack that I love a soundtrack for. So what if it was all part of this plan and I knew as the music was playing, I knew it 5 years ago, I belong here. This land is calling me. So that's how it was deep. It was really deep. It wasn't just about feeling loved. It was about feeling connection to the land as well. Very strong.
yeah. So anyway, he goes back to California and starts to pull things together to make this move. And 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 so I live in northern Massachusetts. And last winter, I was one of the places where Gary parked himself for a while, our apartment. And so that was, so he got to know the area a little bit and enjoyed it and all that stuff. Okay. So anyway, um, he gets in the car to drive east. He's got packed all his stuff. It's, some's being shipped, some's coming with him. It's quite the ordeal to narrow your life down, right? To just the bare minimum. And not bring his grand piano, by the way, which was a heartbreak, but he was guided not to. Now we know why. And and so he's driving across the country, and he's in Memphis. And I wrote him and I said, "You do know there's a storm, like a hurricane coming, don't you?" But in California, you don't have weather like that. That really, you don't have hurricanes, really. And it wasn't on his radar, and he was so intent. He was
But it
going to
was
bed.
happening to Western Florida. It wasn't going to happen in Asheville. I
Well,
mean,
that's true. But yeah, so anyway, he his plan was to park himself there, unload his car, meet the shipment that was coming in, put that into storage, and then fly up to us. And we were going to work on our workshop, as he said, and then we had booked this recording time. So he was going to be with us for about 5 days, 6 days. Anyway, he gets there on Tuesday night, and Thursday it starts to rain. And Friday is his flight, early morning flight, that schedule to fly up to us.
so
Now,
I got in the car at 5 a.m. driving what turned out to be, according to numerous reports, that was right driving to the airport. We thought it
oh,
was going
so
to hit
you did,
Florida.
Gary just froze a little. So basically, that was the most intense center of the storm when he was driving.
And what it took to keep my car move, I was like, whoa, whoa. I could, how could this be a normal rainstorm? It was so completely intense. And I was right in the middle of it. When I finally got to the airport, the one airport, the airline that didn't cancel was the least reputable. I won't mention names. And then they canceled the moment I got there. And so then I thought, holy shit, okay, well, I better go back home, which was a half-hour drive away. Well, that drive was the first time that anybody ever got to see what was happening and what happened in those that minutes. And it was the drive. It took a half-hour drive. Took me 5 hours to try to squeeze through trees that were over the freeway that had room for, like, thousands of cars, and one at a time. Somebody took a truck, train saw out of their truck, and did enough room for one car, and we all siphoned through this little hole to get through the major freeway. And then I finally, 5 hours, get to my friend's place where I was staying, and the driveway, that's a long driveway to their retreat center, was completely blocked by three trees that I couldn't even get to the house. so, so this began 3 days of being in the complete cutoff that the hurricane was. And I did the craziest thing. I decided that I needed to navigate everything with my pendulum. I just made a decision. All right, I've never been in a situation like this. And there was a lot that, complete no power, no contact of any kind. There was no water. There was no, and so the people that were on the land that we were in, we were all trying to deal with the emergencies. There was a tree that went on and destroyed a glamping camper set up, and there's a lot of trees, a lot of damage, right? But next morning, this guidance said, Trent, go to the airport. My car was outside at the driveway in front of the tree. I couldn't get the, so I took my luggage, again, my one piece of luggage that I rummaged through the trees, and I, at 5 in the morning, with a less than a gallon of gas, less than a gallon, because I didn't fill the tank the night before the hurricane. That was the greatest concern. I'm driving 5 hours back from the airport, and I'm complete empty. And it was just like, oh my God, this is like so intense. And so I went, well, how can I go to the airport? Well, I'm going to trust my pendulum. And I, sure enough, I got to my car at 5 in the morning and I drove, and sure enough, I ran out of gas, and a sheriff picked me up about 20 minutes away and said, where do you belong? And I went, well, I just came from this place. He said, well, let me take you back there. And luckily the trees had been cleared. So they took me up to the house, and we siphoned a gallon of gas to my car because my pendulum said, go to the airport. Well, the airport had all airports and everything closed. Why would I go to the airport? But the pendulum said I was supposed to go. So I'm going, period. And I went, and I don't know how, it was like the Hanukkah night of one night of oil with 8 nights of light. I just got to the airport, and that turned out, and finally the one call I could make was to you, Hope, right? And you just said, it was, so the one thing about being at the airport was they hadn't cut off the water yet to be on potable. There was a bathroom. There are a lot of people comparing notes. Which roads could you take to Charlotte? Which roads could you take this way? This one's cut off here. So I took notes on every road that I could take. And then, but I don't have any gas. Well, there's a gas station. The only gas station in the whole area was available at the bottom of the hill of the airport. There was nothing for 50 miles around. No other gas station. And what did I do? My trusty pendulum said, get on the line for gas. It was 3/4 of a mile long. Luckily, it was on a slight incline. Every time I turned the car off, I slid down one car length at a time. And I filled the car. A miracle. I got to the gas. And it took me about 4 hours to go this strange route to Charlotte. And I got at an airport and finally got to a hotel and saw for the first time what was happening to this beloved area. And it was a miracle that I got out of town. It was a miracle. It was a miracle, and it was grace. And
It was because, first of all, why would you go back? Like you said, why would you go back to the airport? And then it turned out to be the safest place he could be, with flushing toilets and power, and he could make a cell phone call outside the building. There is nowhere else that could provide those things, not to mention all the help. And the sheriff, one of the policemen was there and telling him, this and that. The other thing is that if he had waited one more day, you
Forget
wouldn't
it.
have been able to get more than 5 gallons of gas. He was able to fill his tank so that he could get to Charlotte, which was what the guidance was telling him to do, was to get to Charlotte so he could fly out from there. But the whole thing was so full of grace and really amazing. And so he came up to Massachusetts, and we were able to go in the next day and do these recordings.
And the
And
night before, I was having dinner with Jim, Hope's husband, and he said, well, we're going to rent our place on November 1st.
oh
And I
yeah,
looked at him, what? And so you guys, I've been in this experience where I went through such an exhaustive process of identifying where my next home was going to be after being home free rather than homeless for 18 months. And now the guinea pig idea has great resonance with this evening's talk, because I can't help but think that if I am living by the credo that we have been espousing for all of our classes and beyond, called Life Happens For Me, Not To Me, then to walk my talk, I couldn't feel victimized. Even though I was spit out by Asheville, I can't just feel like, and I even let it slip in a couple of days ago, where I thought, well, I'm in a house of not my choosing. I'm in an area I don't really feel connected to. I don't feel my people anywhere popping out of the woodwork like I would in Asheville or Marin. And I just went, "Oh, no." And I started to let the victim thing slip in, like, this is not of my choice. Well, I'm in pure grace. Can you imagine the energy where Hope and Jim have been in for 5 years? Not to mention the beautiful place near the river, and there's a walk, and I didn't have to expend an ounce of energy to have a home safe and sound. It's pure grace. So I get to see the prisonality of Gary, who even with grace wants to find something wrong with the fact that I went through a great effort to find home. What happened to that? Where is that? And that has provided so much rich content for Hope and I in our inquiry and our exploration around the nuance of resonance. And we have a lot to share about it. And we jokingly say that, often what happens is I'll end up being the everyman that shares the stuff on the ground in a very authentic and vulnerable and God almighty, do I have to share all this way? And Hope is this master, 20,000 foot view from the masters. And, and we're perfect complements for each other in that way. And so I have some great notes from the journey that we have observed that have to do with, well, so many things, and we can go into the content of it. But one of the things that really hit recently was just the false belief in our separation, and the belief that thinks that we need familiarity in order to feel whole and complete. And where is it that I, as much work as I've done on myself, am prone to forget that home is wherever I am, and God is wherever I am, and that nothing, and I'm surrounded by infinite abundance and grace, and any other reality is complete illusion. So I'm being given the opportunity to let my personality confront that. It's a phrase Neil Rogan says, personality. And the blessing of being able to work with Hope and discovering this, and to be of service, to offer, where is it that any of you or any of us are using these ploys to make our journey harder because we think it's supposed to be hard, and that resilience is not our birthright.
So, powerful question. I want to just unpack a little bit of that because when Gary got the guidance to go nomad, the impression that I had, and I think this really is true for many of us, the impression I had was that you reach a certain point on your evolutionary journey. You reach a certain point, and then it's time to take a leap, and the leap has to do with risk, right? Risking moving into the don't know. I don't know. When somebody who is as entrenched as Gary was for 52 years in Marin, the only way he was going to get the forward movement for the next step on his evolutionary journey was to pull those roots out and put him in the unfamiliar. Because that's when, as he moved further and further away from Marin, as the months went by, he became freer. This is my perspective, freer and freer and freer. More a man of the world, a man not tethered, in his body, and so not tethered in his mind as much. More fluidity, more willingness to sort
And
of,
ironically, more grounded in myself.
there you go.
I started getting feedback from people because many people have felt like I was Gary 6 feet off the ground, needing something to bring me to earth most of my life. I jokingly say, I only have fire and air astrological signs, so I often say I'm all hot air. Embodiment has been a life issue for me. So what I noticed, what was really interesting, is people were like, "You feel different to me. You feel," and there was some way in which that phrase that Gandhi said, that I'm still learning to unpack, that there's something very sacred in embracing yourself as an ordinary person, something like that. And I have a lot of learning about that. But still, it was like I started getting feedback that I was more grounded. And I felt like the neediness I had for the world to reflect back to me that I was acceptable and okay started to relax. I wasn't looking outside for the kind of validation that I was subtly looking. And everybody has their own different childhood trauma. So whatever yours is yours. But for me, it was always looking outside for meaning. I just couldn't light the pilot light of my own divine connection to feeling the presence of God from the inside out. It was always music was the only way I could do it. And what's been born is the pilot light from my inside connection to spirit really took a major enhancement through this nomad journey.
And Gary, that last piece, I wonder if it would have been lit had it not been for the highly dramatic hurricane episode. That's what put you so far in the don't know lane
Yeah.
that you reached for something else. And that when we have that connection to something else and we rely upon it and we trust it to move us through the disaster, then that develops real resilience, because it's not just us, right?
And I had developed such a trust in the pendulum for me now since I met Hope. For the longest time I put her on a pedestal and then never let myself develop. And then I thought, okay, well, I'm going to develop my own relationship to. I can't call her every day, although many of your friends try to do that with the rods. So what I noticed was what Hope you're saying is really true. I I I cultivated faith.
Mm.
I I I cultivated faith that there was something guiding me. There was something holding me in a way that I don't think I ever really, I didn't have that as an experience of real faith that there was something holding me, that I was not alone. And that's what the third module, we developed these four modules that we'll talk about briefly, but because we want you to come to our workshop. And I want to say something about that later too. But it's the third module is the big kahuna of the four, is that moment where you uncover, well, I can speak for me, where I uncovered, I thought I was connected to God. I thought I've had this sense of not aloneness. I gave it lip service. I created pieces of music for it. I believe me, I paid at the office on this one. But then when I uncovered that I didn't even know the half of it, when the trust becomes solid inside of you, that you really are not alone, it's a big transformation. Everything changes from the me to the we, and that's what makes resilience possible. It's one of the big pieces of it.
Yeah.
Is this useful for you people? Or is this
Uh,
self-indulgent?
I think it's useful. I think people
Okay.
are very much enjoying hearing your story and your digestion of your story. It's because you're so attuned to yourself, and you've got such eloquence about that. So you know, we've all been going through our own personal Asheville's in a way. Um, lots of clients of mine have been losing people and, just really distraught about their lives and just the world. And I can't, Gary and I both feel that the timing to uh, focus on how to build our own inner resilience. And the thing is that I am a resilient person, and yet there are circumstances that come up that test it again and again. And but the more I have in the bucket, in terms of how, okay, these are the tools I use, um, the faster I move through them. And I'll give you a personal, I know this is Gary's interview, but I'll give you a personal thing that just happened to us. 2 nights ago, Jim, my husband, got a call that his position was being eliminated. And we are just at the end of a huge home renovation. And it was a shocking, send you reeling kind of piece of information. By the way, you're no longer employed. Uh, 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 and but I have to say, I really, I mean, on the one hand, my body was shocked. I mean, my body was kind of, buzzing. And yet, all the years of really truly believing that life happens for me, not to me, that so kicked into gear and wouldn't allow me to go into fear. Just I would start to go there and get a little nervous, and I'd come right back. And I'm not saying yay me. I'm saying I was clinging to those principles, and they worked, and they are working. And I'm okay today. I'm not shaking. I'm like, okay, what's next? How do we solve this problem, kind of thing. To be able to get over these things more quickly and move back into life and into activity and taking action in the ways that we need to. This is why we want to do this workshop for people. So that we can all manage these knocks and blows that are coming all the time, personally and globally, much more easily.
I have a little story too, if I may, Hope. That was something that happened to me yesterday. Is that okay? Or
Yeah,
did you?
please. It's your interview,
Yeah.
dude.
Well, because this is significant. I mean, there are a couple of signs along the way where you get to see markers of your development. One happened when I was here at Hope's house, short that first week after, and my ex-wife decided to lambaste me in the way that she hasn't for like years, in a way that was so out of the blue that it used to be able to trigger me. Like, I was the black, that was everything was, it was all my fault. And who knows, it came out of left field. And the walls are thin in this house, and Hope heard it, and she opened the door and went, "What was that?" I went, "I have no idea." And I didn't get triggered at all. It was such, whoa, who is this Gary that didn't get snared? Number one, that was the first sign. But another thing happened yesterday that was also a sign, Hope. I was asked to create music for a thing that my beloved friend Joe Weston, who wrote the book Fierce Civility and Respectful Confrontation, and was hired by Barack Obama's White House to consult people on how to deal with mediation and confrontation. He's an amazing guy. His books are incredible. And he did a heart walk in honor of the election surrounding a heart that you could take out of surrounding the White House, right? And so I contributed this piece of music that I wrote from the music of the Great Smoky Mountains called The Courage to Dream, which was the piece I wrote to the spirit of the dream of America, right? And it has a very dramatic piece. It's a very dramatic and inspiring piece of music. It's full orchestra. And it was like the perfect moment, Hope, that after 25 years, that piece of music found its perfect place, which is to pray for the highest and best outcome for what's about to happen on the election in a few days. And in a way, the promise of the piece was, this is what we're about. Let's all believe in it together. and let's strengthen our faith and our confidence that we can dream of the positive outcome. It has this very grandiose big ending that the happy ending basically. And in the towards the end, right before the climax, I was feeling so satisfied that something that I had created 25 years ago was finding its right way to express and bless and help people hold space for the optimal outcome. But in my mind, I'm thinking Kamala or die, right? I give lip service to the highest and best outcome no matter what. Fuck that. I was really clearly thinking Kamala or die. And in the middle, right before the ending, my finger mistakenly touched a keyboard and cut off the music completely in the height of the final climax of the piece. And in the past, I mean, it was the most shocking and unsatisfying and painful moment for a composer to have the flowering of the piece that it resolves at to not be heard. It was the worst thing. And as the guy that I used to be, there's just no way I would have been consoled. Not to mention to look at the fact that this was happening as a divine intervention. But I instantly went, oh my God, I was trumped by the truth. The truth of the moment is that there is no clarity for a happy ending for anybody. And we all had to sit with that sense of being dropped off on the ledge with nobody knowing how this is going to turn out. And that was the truth that needed to be reflected. And we all said, isn't that, Dot Maver was hosting and Joe was saying, that was incredible. That's exactly where we are right now in our country. And I thought, you're absolutely right. And there would have been a time, not even 6 months ago, when I would have been unable to let go of the mournfulness of having my egoic need to have the piece acknowledged. But what was more important was how art imitated, how it reflected life in a way that was so honest. And I could appreciate it within seconds. I had a moment, but it was such a great moment that the truth was more important than my ego or being seen in the way that I've been wanting to be seen since I've been 5 years old, right? So it was such a triumph, Hope. It
Really
was
is.
such a triumph.
But that's resilience, Gary. You bounce
That's right.
back from something very quickly. And that's what happens over time. You know, maybe it used to take a week, and then it's a couple of days, and it's a day, then it's an hour, and now it's right immediately. You know, you're switching and you're coming back. And
Yeah.
and that's beautiful. That's so beautiful. I'm really, really happy for you. What an interesting example, especially for you. I mean, it's like perfect for you. The universe is
And
so clever.
it's so unbelievable. And believe me, I'm going to find ways to. I know my ego is going to find ways to find something wrong as a good Jew, but
You gotta stop saying that. You gotta stop saying
all
that.
right. Well, let's put it this way: my old self finds it familiar to go to a place of looking like something's wrong.
Right, right.
Period. I'll just say that. And and here's the payoff. When Hope and I realized, with Graceful Passages, we had the delusion that thought we could take our 4 module process that we created for cultivating and metabolizing grief literacy, to metabolize grief. We had this we have this beautiful 4-step module plan for Graceful Passages that we really have tested, and it works beautifully, right? We thought it could apply to resilience. When we started to realize that the things we grieve, that unresolved trauma and loss, represents like 10% of our lives if we're not lucky. Sometimes it's maybe less, luckily, but with resilience, it actually applies to the rest of our lives. The large majority of our time needs resilient skills. And so we started diving in and we went, well, with grief literacy, the whole point was turning grief to gratitude and joy. That was the point. It was like, what else is it for? It's to make you feel how precious this life is. The price of grief is love. How much you love shows you how much you grieve, right? Well, so what is the price of these little big twists and turns that take us by surprise? And when we discovered that the prize of this workshop and of resilience exploration, I mean, it's almost too simple to believe, but it's so beautiful. It's being, the simplicity and the beauty and the ordinariness and the fullness of the right to be. When Hope and I realized that, we went, yeah. And that's what strengthens my resolve that I'm exactly where I need to be. Because this is a place where you could be, where good people are working, and it's a village like Bedford Falls in my favorite movie. It's like it's Turner's Falls, but it's Bedford Falls too. And it's like I get the opportunity to end the addiction to grandiosity and the need for external acknowledgement and the constant struggle that thinks that life is suffering and empty and then you die and I'm alone. And I get to learn how to be a human being, just simple, going to the bank and the grocery store and having coffee and just being is the greatest gift there is. And that's the point of it all.
I love you, Gary Malkin.
I love you, Hope Fitzgerald.
And that's
And
our
so,
sermon for
thank you.
tonight, folks. Now, listen, if you have questions, now's the time to
Ah,
jump in, or comments, and have
and I
a,
could play another transformance of yours, Hope, at the end if you like.
okay, sure, let's do that.
But,
Arma,
but I just want to thank you, Hope, for giving me the opportunity to share with your amazing community, and thank you for the presence and the listening and the caring. And I can feel the energy from all of you, and it helps me solidify and ground what I'm learning by sharing it. So thank you so much for that privilege.
well, you couldn't be with a more loving group. And I am just honored beyond measure that they're here and they come and they're just amazing. So yeah, thank you, Gary. You bless us all with your story and with your insights. Very much so. So Arma, my dear, yes.
So much. Thank you, everyone. I do the hearts too. I love that. Gary, I could so easily have had a cup of tea or coffee with you today. I'm over here. I don't know if you can see me, but I'll wave to you with the greenery in the
I see you. I
background.
see you.
All I knew of you, aloha. All I knew of you before was a little bit, and then I looked you up for your music, and I saw your grandiose numbers, and I really didn't have any song of yours that really spoke to me tonight. And I'm playing the Smoky Mountains right now the whole time since we have been on. Oh my gosh, it's a music score. Oh my gosh, I took a bajillion notes. Smoky Mountains, The Journey, love it. Flight of the Hawk, love it. Appalachian Sunrise. I mean, the whole, and when you said music found the perfect piece, your music, amazingly, found me tonight in a perfect piece. I am thrilled. What I have learned with what the infinity wave has been showing me, that you we are all such shamans in this group. You can only go out to a point, and then it brings you right back. You can only go out this far, and then you're pulled back, and that pulling back seems even so quicker now. And the reason why I say that is because I have 5 jobs. One of my jobs is serving as a home hospice caregiver for their family. I just served as my parents live in home hospice caregiver until my dad made his transition. And so I'm working for a crystal, mineral, and rock shop as one of the 5 jobs, and I'm touching stones from all over the world, and I'm infinity waving all of them. Australia, Brazil, Mexico, China,
Ah,
Indonesia, where my family is from, Botswana, Idaho, Wisconsin, by the way, Africa, Madagascar, Egypt, and I'm just in my own zone. And when that job, I could feel this really isn't me. And I went out to the edge as far as I could with this job, and boom, I got pulled out of it just as quick as I landed that job. Courage, resilience, which by the way, I looked at resilience. And yeah, answer the capacity to withstand or to recover quickly from difficulties or toughness, but I like number 2. This speaks to me, and I think this whole group, the ability of a substance or object to spring back into shape, elasticity. So when you speak of, and I wrote the same thing as you, I felt the same thing about my future self has orchestrated this time that this body is in now, living this. Wow, what a revelation to relax into that and say, let's have a conversation, higher self. So it's no longer because I too have said, where is home? I'm living with my parents. That's home. I'm living in home hospice for another family. That's home. I serve elders when I'm in their home. That's home. Where is home? Wherever I am. Because wherever I am is the we be. And home is my higher self with myself. I'm not ever alone. I think that my higher self is my twin flame, and we operate as one. We are one. We is one. And to operate in service in these various homes is home. And I just, oh my gosh. And then that loop again and again, because it's a refiner's fire. It's like refining, refining, refining. And oh, I just had my cup of coffee with you without even
Oh,
physically having a cup of coffee with you.
my goodness, what an ecstatic share. Oh, Arma, my God, thank you for blessing us with your passion and your revelation and your wisdom and I just have to tell you the line of the century, wherever I am is where we be. That's a winner for me,
It's
baby.
true.
yeah.
Oh,
And
thank you so much. And right now it's,
we is
yes,
one is another
we're
one.
and we is one. Yes, we is one. And right now what's playing is Ghosts on Old Settlers, whatever the rest of that is.
Yes,
Ghosts on
yes.
Old Settlers Trail. Oh, look at that. Old settlers, new settlers. We're all in the same time, happening at the same time. So old, new. Thank you. Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
everyone.
Thank you
Thank
Much
for
you.
love.
sharing, Arma. That was beautiful. Oh my
Thank you,
God.
Arma. Thank you.
What an
Very
experience.
cool. Very cool. Henrietta, let's make sure you're unmuted here. Oops, sorry. Try again. There you go.
There we go.
Yes. Oh, Arma, can you repeat that again? Wherever I am, we are?
We be.
Wherever I am is where we be.
Is where we be.
Yeah, that train of thought. Yeah, because wherever I am, we be. Yeah, my higher self and myself operating as one. We are one, and therefore we is one. Yeah,
Arma, it
we
is
be. I
very
am, we be.
clear. Arma, it is very clear what that meaning of that sentence is, darling. It is because you go against all grammatic convention that makes it work so well. So
Yes,
Exactly.
that
Yes.
was so beautiful.
So
Gary,
Henrietta, yeah, go ahead.
I I've been listening to the music, and in the very
Which
beginning.
music do you mean?
The music that's in the meditations.
Oh, okay.
Um, and because I am a because I play piano, I don't read. I'm self-taught,
Nice.
and I have always loved music. So when you were playing there, it I really felt something that you don't hear very often at all.
Hmm.
It was such a incredible collaboration between you and Hope. It was actually so complete that I asked her. I said, "Are you doing this piano playing as well?" And she said, "Oh, no, that's Gary." Because it's so connected, and it's like it's incredible how
Hmm.
you two managed to achieve that. Also, I absolutely love your music so much that sometimes I try and focus on what Hope says, but actually I get blown away by the music. It's like I'm floating on the music. It's so special and it's so beautiful. So I wanted to let you know that that's what you do, Gary. You are amazing.
Ah,
Thank you for your beautiful story. Thank you, and thank you, Hope, for allowing this to let Gary shine in his beautiful light, and for you and your love to shine for everybody. Thank you so much. Thank
Oh,
you.
thank
you
you
know,
so much.
Henrietta, I just want to say one thing, that what's so funny is if you take this idea of the future self or the higher self, planting seeds for your development, I think that when I was introduced the concept of scoring spoken word in a way that would enhance metabolization of content, of wisdom, not just in your mind, but in your heart, body, and soul, I think I'm getting a recognition, a realization right this second that it was the beginning of me surrendering my talent to the thing I needed to learn most, which has taken me 25 years since Graceful was created, which is this realization about being, the simplicity and the lightness of being. And by playing music that's slow, that the kind of music specifically that Hope loves to speak to, and also when I take her words away and I just listen to the music brings me to the same realization of the fourth step that we're teaching in the resilience course around the 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 art of true being, the
Mm,
presence. So
mm,
it's just
mm,
amazing how the guideposts, Hope, are really have been. If you look, they're all pointing in the direction to my, like you said, very discrete, specific, and very unique gifts that are particular to my evolutionary need around being and slowing down and ending the obsession with performing and doing and proving and all that. You know what I mean? So
mm,
I was moved because as you were sharing, I feel the same way when I listen to the music that comes through, when I support somebody like Hope or the other woman, Sarah, it it feels like it comes from another place in me that teaches me how to be, how to slow
mm,
down. So thank you for sharing what you shared.
mm,
Yeah, thank you, Henrietta.
mm,
And I think, Gary, what you just said, um, what is kind of unique is my background in singing, voiceovers, like I have that whole background way back there. And we've come together in it, and we get in the river together, we get in the realm together. None of it is practiced, it's just flow. It's what we're teaching, it's flow. And his music starts and the thing starts coming through, and it's a dance.
Right.
And I agree with you, Henrietta. I could just listen to him play the music and not say a word. But that has to happen too sometimes. But the music is so spacious. It lights it's like the wind beneath my wings. It just fills me, and I can go aloft. Um, and so, yeah, we've both been on this trajectory in a way when I'm thinking about it, to come together to be able to do these, and pretty cool.
Why I can't, I mean, it was a kind of lovemaking in the studio that was so, I can't wait to go back in and do that again with you. I see Susan has her hand up. Yay.
Another hand.
Hi,
Hi,
Susan,
hi, hi, hi,
Susan.
hi, hi,
Hi.
beloved friend.
hi. So this has just been the best soul food that I could imagine. These are hard times right now. They're really hard times. And I've just been needing to go drink from the well of where I know that something so much bigger and smarter and more knowing could feed me. And I was so touched by your story, Gary, both of you. I mean, both of you, so touched by it and so moved by where you've come to, where you've ended, where you are right now. You're not ending, in the ordinary, in the magnificence of going to the post office and the beingness and out of the grandiosity. And I could relate to so much of it. And it moved me to tears. And I just feel so grateful. So I want to just transmit what's in my heart to all of you, just to transmit the movement and the depth and the love, so much love for all these groups as you are and as we are together, just doing what the planet really needs, which is the love, sharing the love and holding the love with each other. So I'm so grateful. And I wanted to show you, Hope, on my birthday, I got,
Oh, look
I
at
don't know if
it.
you can see my wave, but
I can see
it's a gold wave, and haven't taken it off since April. And a little retail therapy isn't so bad. No jewelry, darling. It helps. But
Uh,
so you're
Susan,
all the
I,
time.
Susan, I just so love who you are. You're such a special being,
it.
both you and your husband. And I'm just moved to share as a kind of build on what you said, because I can feel the authenticity and the depth of what you're sharing. Is that I just came, the reason I was late, Hope, is I was they invited me on the Unity Earth call. They said, we got to bring Gary in here. And so I had a chance to share a piece of the Courage to Dream with that community then. But one of the things that John Raymer said, who's one of my heroes in that community, it's one thing when people say something, but when they embody it in every level of their being, it's a transmission. You know, it's so different than just lip service. And what he said that really planted a seed for me, and I'm just using this moment of connection with you, not that it relates exactly, but it relates because I love you, right? Is he said, I will not be held victim by who becomes president.
Yeah.
I will trust that no matter what happens, that it will be the best for all. No matter what happens, I have faith that it will be the best for all. And when he said that, I found places in my consciousness that hadn't gotten there yet. But 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 my God is being replaced by that ordinary, beautiful, true being place, rather than the belief that we are dependent upon who's going to be president. And it took me a little further in my faith. And it reminds me, just because of the way you said, I'm feeling soul fed, soulfully. That's how I felt when he said that. And that's how I feel now with you. So we got to remember that the nobility of being, beauty of being,
Yeah.
it's the deal.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay.
Love you.
You,
Love.
Susan. Love to you and Joseph.
Okay.
Mr. Jimbo.
Hi, everybody.
Hey,
Hey.
Jimbo.
First of all, I wanted to say that when you played that new piece at the beginning, that was like, I listen to your music every single day
Oh,
of my life, and especially the meditations where it's both of you. I listen to those every day, and I play your music all the time too, separately. So I've listened to everything multiple times, and it's never gets old. But to hear a new piece was just like incredible. I was just like, oh my God. It was I don't even know how to describe it, but it was very powerful. Yeah. I'm looking forward to hearing more.
great.
I know it's coming soon, so.
Yeah, great.
But and I wanted to talk about what I've been thinking about with the upcoming workshop, and having done the workshop last year and the incredible expansive and healing experience that was. And you know, this workshop was scheduled, I think, for July, was it?
Right.
Originally? And you know, I was all ready to go, I couldn't wait. And then when it was initially postponed, my first response was disappointment, but that was brief. That was just typical, you know, my reaction. But and then I had this, you know, what came in was that, okay, you know, whatever happens, this is going to be the best thing that could happen for all of us. And that, you know, things were going to happen in my life or whatever that were going to make this more beneficial for having the wait. But I never imagined, you know, to see everything that's happened to you guys and to me and to the world. What is that?
We need to mute their TV, their computer.
I did it.
So, and now as everything is playing out right up till today and everything that's happened, it's, you know, the expansiveness, exponential expansiveness of this potential of this workshop is just mind-boggling to think about. And it's going to be so much more than it would have been then.
I
So
completely
true.
agree. Yeah, no,
Oh my God.
we're been blown away by how it's been hiding from my view about how this is about the whole movement. It's about the whole unified field. It's
Right.
how we can actually be living participant conscious components of the field with a radical multidimensional embrace of our wholeness and our interconnectedness.
Yeah.
That's when we started uncovering that that's what resilience was really about. Everything got very, very mind-blowing.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So I think you're right, Jimbo. And we've remarked on the same thing, that the timing of it now is it's exponentially more appropriate, and plus everything that's happened to us individually since then adds another 2 layers. So I think it's, yeah, we're excited. We're excited because the work is powerful for us too. You know, it's not just like, you know, we're just trying to put it together in a way that is experiential for every person. As most people know, you know, what I fully believe is that it's one thing to be able to language these things, but we don't really change until we have an experience. And so our workshops, my workshops, Garrett and ours together, all have to do with giving opportunities for experiences in the meditations, in the conversations, in the sharing. We use multiple intelligences. We have all kinds of things, tricks
But
up our sleeve.
even in addition to that, you can be guaranteed that what we're sharing is what we're learning on the fly. We are in the process of learning and then we're sharing. And so I wanted to make a pitch because you guys are so in cahoots with us energetically. I really want to invite you guys to consider inviting 2 or 3 people of your favorite people in your life so that you can join us and then deepen your conversations about what you think about that and have some way in which it could support your sense of connectedness to the people you're really close to. Because we're terrible. Oh, I'll speak for me. I'm a terrible marketer, but we're really having fun applying our lives to being of service. So we want to encourage you to join us, please, and tell people about it so that, and we're constantly looking at maybe this should be a 2 or 3 or 4 3-hour courses on every Saturday morning rather than the 6-hour sitting the way we used to all the time in COVID days. We'll figure it out. The ultimate dream is that we're birthing this work that really feels true and authentic and honest. And that's where we're going to stay committed to.
Yeah.
So that's my only pitch. Sorry, but
Can't hold him down. Okay, Judy, last lovely person. How are you, my dear?
I'm fine, thanks. And Gary, I've listened to your meditation music a lot, and it's just transports one's soul to another place, just like Henrietta said. It's just absolutely amazing. And I've heard your story of your trip from California to Turner's Falls twice now, and it's just the most amazing trip that I've ever heard anyone take in their whole life. I mean, it's just extraordinary. And the faith and the trust that you had to just follow. And but one question I have is about the pendulum. Now, doesn't the pendulum say yes and no? How would it tell you to go to Charlotte? I mean, things like that.
That's that was so he has his pendulum, I have my rod. So between the whole, yeah.
Okay, so it was a joint effort. And then one other comment.
No. The answer to that is much simpler. It's that you ask yes or no questions.
Yes, I understand that, but I didn't understand how it would tell you to go to this gas station or that airport. You know, you could.
Well,
You
that's
wouldn't have.
should I go to this gas station?
Okay.
Should I risk having an empty tank and going to this gas station because I'll get stuck somewhere? Should I risk it? Yes or no, right? That kind of thing.
Okay. And then just one other short comment. I woke up a few days ago knowing I had to sign up for your workshop. It just like, this is something I have to do. And I just did it. And all the preparation material that you have, I will just say it's exquisite what you've given to us prior to ever attending the workshop. There's just so much there. So thank you. And I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, thank you, Judy. That's so sweet.
Thank you, Judy. Judy has been incredibly helpful to me. She's gone through every single meditation. Let me know where there are gaps, where I'm missing one. Let me know the sound quality that needed to be enhanced or whatever. And honestly, it's such a gift, Judy. You really, I can't even.
Yeah, but it's a pleasure for me to do as well. So
Oh.
If I can any way assist you, I'm more than happy to do it.
Thank you. Thank you so much. You already have, and you do. I appreciate it. All right. I think we need to wrap it up. So do you want to play that?
Could I play a little final short thing?
Yes.
So we'll go off however you end your thing. But let's use this as a prayer to end, and then we can say our goodbyes. And again, I want to thank you, Hope, for giving me the opportunity to make sense of this. It's something else.
It is something else. And thank you for going there and being willing to dive in.
Okay, I'm gonna play. Let me see. Yeah, here we go.
Coming together as we have. Has been a precious time. A time full. Full of grace. Full of new insights and new connections and revelations. One never stops learning or growing. And this time together has been an integral part of that education. Done as it has been in great love, courage, and appreciation. Blessings, blessings, one and all.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
I think that is going to be a very useful track because it really is a beautiful way to end. And that's what I was hoping that we would have some of those. Love you guys. Thank you so much.
And the owl just flew up on this tree. A big, beautiful owl just flew in.
Beautiful.
Perfect.
I don't know if you can see it. I don't know how it goes. Can you see it up at the phone pole, but then there's a tree behind it?
Can't
No,
see
can't
it.
quite see it.
Oh, okay. Well, he's there. It's beautiful. Thank you.
Owl
If
medicine.
if the music and everybody there, all the company wasn't fabulous enough, now that. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Thank
you.
you,
Thank you.
Karen. Thank you. And thank you, everyone, for being here tonight and honoring us with your presence, your beingness. Wow, it's been a real joy. Thank you, my dear friend Gary. And we hope to see you on the 9th. If not, we hope to see you on a Monday night and for whatever we're up to. All right. Lots and lots and lots of love.
Hey, the best, whatever happens in America, may we know that it's always for the highest and best.
Right.
Night, night, everybody.
Night.
Night.